I don't think I do it.
Arsenal started like house on fire. Signing number 2 for this new era. It's Judgment Day, people. Yeah! What did your boy tell you? It was never in doubt. Never in doubt.
Now then, people, and welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show, and of course, good morning. John Redmond says, Super Sam to the rescue. We're going to get into it, mate, because he's got one hell of a firefighting job to come on Saturday, of course, for treble chasing Manchester City. Before we get into it, folks, please do smash a like, subscribe to the channel. We're getting so close to 20k now, not too far to go. Get your comments in, and of course, hit that notification bell. And my guest today is the legend that is the GOAT of City content creation, a big Steve. Steve, how you doing, mate? All right?
I'm good, Joe. Yeah, I'm good. Another win last night. one more step towards the promised land. One win at a time. That's all we're doing over here.
Yeah, good. I love it, mate. I love it. Obviously, knocking Man United off the purchase. It's good for us Leeds fans. Listen, Big Steve's channel is in the title of the video. All you need to do is click it. Go on over and check out the content over there. Obviously, Real Madrid to come in a couple of days, so no doubt there'll be some good content coming off. But before we get into City, Steve, I just want to get your thoughts on Leeds United. I know you had opinions in the past about Marcelo Bielsa, etc. Yeah. And look at, like, in 18 months, we've gone from, you know, like a fine wine to a pint of gravy, mate, with Big Sam. Like, it's quite the switch up. What do you make of it, mate, as an outsider looking in at the appointment?
I mean, it just looks a bit of a mismatch all around for me, from the Bielsa sacking and then Jesse Marsh, and then I never quite got that guy. I'll be honest.
I'm the same.
It just didn't seem right for me for Leeds, and then the new fellas come in. It just, you know, you've spent some decent money, brought in a couple of decent players. You've not got a bad squad. You know what I mean? I look at the squad on paper, but I just think it lacks an identity, the Leeds United identity, you know, it's not there. They're just sort of floating around, and then you just don't know what's going to happen. You as supporters don't know whether you're going to go and watch a masterclass or a disaster class. And I mean, when Big Sam's turns up anywhere, it's usually because you're in the shit, and you are in the shit. And listen, you can do a lot worse than get Big Sam. And you know, he's got a hell of a job to do, but he's come with his chest out yesterday in the press. He said he's better than Klopp and Pep and that. Listen, it wouldn't be Leeds United if it wasn't mad. So you guys are used to it, man. So exactly. You know, nothing surprises you anymore. So you're just on the Big Sam train now, and you're just rolling with it.
Exactly, mate. I agree, mate. It's like one big soap opera. You're right. There is no direction. Obviously, Victor Orta, a bit of a madman. You know, there's all sorts coming out now that we tried to sack Jesse sooner, and he came out and said, well, I'll resign. So then they went, oh, well, we'll keep faith with Jesse. He wanted to give Javi more time with 4 games left to go. Like, I was like, well, something had to change. So it is a bit mad. And like El said in the comments, you've just got to roll with it, man. We do. What did you make to his comments about him being better than Pep? Because it was quite interesting. I know, obviously, everyone's seen that soundbite, Steve, and naturally people are mocking it. But towards the end of the presser, he did say, like, I've already given you your headlines for tomorrow. I can see it already. And I thought, oh, is it a bit of kidology? Is he taking the pressure? You know what I mean? He does, doesn't he?
Sam Allardyce, listen, anyone will tell you, I know ex-players and that, and they told me he was well ahead of the curve back in the day at Bolton, well ahead of the curve. The players he used to sign for Bolton Wanderers, Yuri Djorkaeff, JJ Okocha, Ivan Campo, Vieira. So, listen, Big Sam can get these players. He's got his finger on the pulse. The thing is with Big Sam, his reputation's always been this long ball game and not attractive football, which it's not entirely true, to be honest. No, I think Arsene Wenger sort of give him that tag because they used to bully Arsenal and win all the time. But, you know, he didn't do himself any favours with the England thing. He got himself involved in murky things he didn't have to with agents and stuff. And the downfall of Big Sam has only been himself to blame.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt he's a good manager there, but he's 60. I think he's 68-year-old now. You know, this is his final chance. If he keeps Leeds up and you give him this job, you know, it's his last chance. And I think a Sam Allardyce in the last chance might be the best Sam Allardyce you're going to get. With all the mistakes he's made, with all the things he's done in the past, it might be time to stop trying to fuck about and do dodgy deals and brown envelopes, because, you know, you've got enough dough and do what you're good at, and get this football club a sleeping giant. Stop it fucking going up and down and get it on a level curve, because he got Bolton into Europe and that. You know what I mean? You look in there. But I just don't know. You know what I mean? We just don't know.
Nah, you're right. And that's the thing, innit? Like, I bet he loses so much sleep at night knowing that he only got one game as England manager, you know what I mean? But it's his own fault. It is what it is. And like you say, this is probably the last throw of the dice for him as well. It certainly is for Leeds in terms of Premier League survival. They had to do something. Mate, to be honest, there was names like Tony Pulis was mentioned, Lee Bowyer was mentioned, even Simon Grayson, who's out in India. So I think he's the best of... Yeah, it's sort of the best of a bad bunch, really, isn't it, to go get Big Sam, I think. Obviously, it's conceivable, Steve. I don't know if you focus much on the bottom half of the table, especially the relegation dogfight, but it is conceivable that Leeds United could not win another game of football and still stay up, and he'll pocket 2.5 million for that. But do you look at it, obviously, Monday, Forest play Southampton. If they beat them, I think that might be us, but... Who would you say is going down at this point? Do you fancy Everton, Southampton? What's the crack?
It's Southampton are gone for me.
Yeah.
Everton, the draw the other night against Leicester was not what they needed. We've got to play them as well at Goodison, and they're going to be fighting for their lives. Leicester are in the same boat. It's really tough down there. There's a lot of people getting dragged into it. It's hard down there. I don't know. I've got a lot of friends at Everton, right? But I also have a lot of delusional Everton fans that. So, you know, part of me wants to see them fuck off for a few years and still try and get down there where it's hard to get back. And then Nottingham Forest.
They're a huge club out there.
Forest was always a little favourite of mine from back in the day. But this season, we got the draw at the City Ground. They started letting fireworks off when they got a draw. And then when I got outside the ground, some 80-year-old woman abused me and said to me, "Where's your European Cup?" So now I want Forest to fuck off as well. So I love like, that. It's mad, mate. But no,
where's your European Cup?
I'm just glad I'm at the opposite end looking down, because I don't envy you boys down there, man.
No, you've experienced it as well, man. That's why there's that humbleness, that humility with you, man. You get it, man. And it is mad, because I'm a bit like you. And another season, I want Forest to stay up. That's why I see Coventry at the top end of the Championship, and I'm like, I won't mind Coventry back in the Premier League. You know what I mean? It takes me back to when I was younger, growing up with the sticker books and all that. John Solarco and people, do you know what I mean?
He's a good mate of mine, John Solarco. He's a good pal of mine, John, now. So he don't look any different, John, than he did back in the day. I swear to God, he's exactly the same weight, and it looks exactly the same.
It's mad. I did a charity walk last year, bro, for Gary Speed, and there was a lad on there that says he knows you. I forget his name now. He'll probably be watching, but he's a Leeds fan. I think it is what it is. But
I know quite a few Leeds fans, to be fair. Just message them in the chat. They're stressing at the minute, like you. But nah, man, it's not good to see for me. Obviously, Leeds. I want Leeds in the Premier League. I want them to be banging on that door, and it's so hard nowadays. It's so hard because, you know, you've got to have a balance with the money as well, and the fans. We just demand these signings and that, but if it doesn't work for the balance sheet, there's that many constraints and that involved. Now you can get in trouble. But you look at your team. I mean, you look at Gnotto, great little player. You know what I mean? Rutters came in. Not seen too much of him, but he was supposed to be a great player. I just look at players like Bamford and that, and I just think, I don't know if they're enough for the Premier League. I just don't think they're consistent enough for it. But
well, that was the thing in the presser yesterday. He was asked, He was saying, like, who's the people you need to call on, and he mentioned Bamford. He said, I need him fit. I need him. So it looks like he's going to be the guy. But like you say, is he going to get the goals? We'll have to wait and see. Leeds United play yourself. Then we've got Newcastle at home, away at West Ham, and then we finish the season with Spurs at home. From an outsider's perspective, how many points do you think Big Sam and Leeds can get out of that realistically?
I don't fancy. Obviously, coming to the Etihad at the minute is insane.
No, yeah.
You know, I don't know if Big Sam's going to try and dig in there and get a point or what. But West Ham tried it last night and they did okay for 45. But to try and keep us out for 90 is tough. Newcastle, they're that Champions League, they're going for it. You know, that's tough. You've got to be looking at the last two for me. West Ham is winnable, and Tottenham at home. Tottenham are a mess. Exactly. So if you can get the crowd up at home, last game of the season, bit of sunshine, get struck into him, get that Leeds atmosphere rallied right up. I think you can win that.
Yeah, same. It's important for me as a fan to make sure we have something to play for on that final day, because I think they'll be so riled up, and Spurs are out for that. For me, anyway, the current guys, they're not out for that. So, you know, yeah, exactly. Harry Kane potentially leaving, etc. Maybe even more exiting. I think we can beat them on the final day. Just on City, mate, victorious now in 11 out of your last 12 league outings, 14 straight victories at the Etihad as well. And I've just read this as well, mate. March was the last time you failed to score at least 3 in a game at the Etihad, which is madness, really, when you think we're in May. You know what I mean? Is there any chance? I know football's a crazy game, but is there any chance Leeds United can pull off a shock?
There's always a chance. You know, in the last few years in these run-ins, we've always, in the last 10, we've always slipped somewhere, dropped a couple of points. Last year, we were 2-0 down to West Ham, second to last game at the Olympic Stadium. We came back. But this City team this year is different. There's a different feel about it. We've got the big man up front who's deadly. So we've not got Raheem Sterling and Gabriel Jesus missing 6 or 7 a game. We've got one guy that has one chance and scores, or 2 and scores. Last year we were patched up. Fernandinho at the back, last 10 games. Emerick Laporte playing with injections. Got us over the line. This year we've got a healthy bench. He rested Gundogan last night, Laporte, a few others. The squad management this season, this running's been different. Last year, we had to sacrifice the FA Cup because we were patched up from Atletico Madrid. We came back. He played a few fringe players in the semi against Liverpool. We got knocked out. Then we went to Real Madrid and we got beat and stuff. So we won the league, but we just won the league. But this season's different. We've got the squad. We've got the bench. We've got people fit. And we've got the rhythm. And the Arsenal fans that I've been bantering with didn't understand when I said you need the rhythm. You know, you're playing once every 3 days. You keep that rhythm going. You're rotating. The atmosphere's buzzing. You can't wait for the next game, and you keep it going. Arsenal drew 2-0 down, 2-0 up at West Ham, drew 2-2. Then he had 7 days to think about it. Then he went again at Liverpool, did exactly the same. Then he had 7 days to think about that. Then he went to Southampton, fucked it again. And then they had 3 days to the Etihad, got fucked again. So at the end of the day, if they'd have had the games every 3 days, they'd have put it right. Let's put it right, and they didn't. So the rhythm's important, and I just think we're different at the minute. And this City team at the minute is purring, and it's going to be difficult for anyone to stop us.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And like you say, Erling Haaland, the Nordic Meat Shield, record goals scored last night. Listen, I love him, mate. I just think as a Premier League fan, as an English football fan, it's great to have players in their primes. So many times we would see players that are on the up potentially, and then they would move to Spain. You know what I mean? Then they would move to the big clubs, and you know, especially back in the day in La Liga with the likes of Ronaldo, Messi, etc. So it's nice to see someone, you know, at their peak in the Premier League. Just how good is he, mate?
Oh. Do you know what, right, Joe? It's hard work, right? Because I went to the Charity Shield and he missed a sitter at the end, and Nunes scored. Liverpool beat us. I came out of the ground and the Liverpool fans were saying, you're Erling Haaland, he's not going to do it, and Darwin Nunes this and Darwin Nunes that. And I was like, okay, yeah, fine. I said, listen, he can miss in the Charity Shield. He's just got to not miss in the league. And he hit the ground running at West Ham. He's not stopped, and we changed our formation from a false 9 to a big number 9. Once teams got onto it and started to realise that they needed to shut him down, it became a little bit difficult. But the problem was our boys wasn't finding him, and that wasn't it wasn't necessarily his fault, but Thierry Henry hit the nail on the head on Sky, and he said, when I went to Arsenal, I had to realise I was getting frustrated. I was making runs, no one was finding me. But then Wenger pulled him in and said, listen, if you make that run, Dennis Bergkamp can find you. But Freddie Ljungberg can't, Pires can't, they haven't got it in the locker. He went, so you need to know that when Rodri gets the ball, don't make that run because Rodri can't make that Kevin De Bruyne pass. Right. So if Rodri gets the ball, you need to come closer. If Riyad gets the ball, go to him because he's going to cut inside. And once that started to click with Erling, now he knows which players do what. You get in the end product. Yeah. If he makes a run and Kevin De Bruyne's got the ball, he can run anywhere because Kev will find him. Jack will find him. Yeah. And that's what it was. And now it's all kicking into gear nice. The link-up play between De Bruyne...
He's even becoming a creator now, isn't he, Steve? You know what I mean?
He's improving, Joe. Yeah. He's 22 years old, and he's improving game by game. You can only improve in this Manchester City team. If you improve and you're willing to learn, if he spits his dummy out every 5 minutes, and let me tell you this, he could have done because he was getting so frustrated. And I think it's just Pep Guardiola went, you know what, we'll tweak this, we'll tweak that. The biggest tweak we did, got rid of the high fullbacks. Cancelo went to Bayern. He plays a flat back 4, all centre-backs. So you've not got a foot. Jack Grealish had Cancelo 2 foot up his arse every time we attacked. So by the time Jack got the ball, he's no room to move. Yeah. And now Nathan Ake gets the ball. He gives it into Grealish early. Grealish can go inside. He can go outside. And listen, it just works. But credit to Pep Guardiola for tweaking it while the season was going. It's just worked. And Haaland, records, man. Unreal.
Yeah. Amazing. It's great to see, mate. And I think as well, like this crazy notion that was going on earlier in the season that our City worse with arguably the best goal scorer ever. It's mental.
Jealousy. I heard just doing Simon Jordan on Talk Sports try to say that Haaland's done it in a better team than what anyone else has had. So that means he gets more chances. He's done it in an era where you can't tackle. And the last one was, if he'd signed for Tottenham, he wouldn't have done it. I thought, what kind of man is he? Trying to the kid's 22-year-old. Give him his props. You know what I mean? He's come to the Premier League with immense pressure. They told him he wasn't going to do it. You can't walk in this league and upset the establishment. And he screwed the league up in a ball and fucking volleyed it right over the fence.
I love it, bro. You know, there's a certain fan that we're all aware of talking about it's disrespectful to the Hurricanes and all this.
I'm expecting a fucking public apology for him. From him.
I know, man. He's just full of wild takes, though, isn't it? It is what it is. You talked about improving players, and one player that's massively improved is Jack Grealish. And I wasn't a Jack Grealish fan when he was at Villa and we were challenging in the Championship, and he gets that diving merchant stuff and all that. But like to see how much he's improved, mate, and what it means for England as well. Him one side, Saka the other. You got Rashford, etc. You know, it's as long as you get the right manager next, it's going to be exciting. But just how good is, because I've watched the Big Six. You know, you were a regular on there. You missed, bro, but like you used to always say this about Jack. Always back him, and how great is it to see just how good he's become, mate?
You see, people are reactionary, and they watch 20 minutes on Match of the Day because he's not scored or assisted. They assume that he's had a bad game, but you don't get picked by the best manager in the world to play every week in the best team in the world if you're not doing what you're asked to do. And he was getting asked to do a job. He was doing it. And this season, he's grown into it. And Jack Grealish is so important for everything about Man City. And with Erling coming in now, the link-up play with Earl, it just works. And Jack's got this reputation as a bit of a party boy. He came to Manchester City for a big fee. He had openly admitted it was a bit of a culture shock because at Villa, he could basically do what he wanted. At Man City, he's not that big fish. You know, he's got to toe the line. Last season, he won the league, but he was probably disappointed in his performance. This season, he's knuckled down. He's playing regular. And listen, full credit to him. He's finally showing us that potential that we knew we had in there with Jack, and he's had a great season.
100%. And that moves me on nicely because I have to keep saying this to Leeds fans about Calvin Phillips. Obviously, he's a bit of a legend at Leeds, born in the city. You know, there's all these people that'll go, it serves him right. He went for the money. And I'm like, that's crazy talk. Of course, that helps. He went for Pep. He went for City. He went to win things. If Calvin was all about the money, he'd have left us in the Championship and gone to Villa when they asked him to. But instead, he stayed for an extra year and got us up. Why do you think it's not gone as well? You could argue it's similar to the Grealish situation in a sense that he's had a few injuries, he's not got in the side, and of course he's got, for me, one of the best DMs in world football ahead of him in Rodri, man. That guy's phenomenal. So do you think Calvin will come on next season? Because there's talk of him leaving, etc. So
what's happened with Calvin? Last season we had Fernandinho as backup to Rodri, 38-year-old. 20 minutes to go. Rodri's tired. We take him off. Fernandinho comes in, sees the game out, knows when to foul, knows when to doesn't, blocks here, blocks there, gets the game won. Great.
Yeah. He smashed Rafinha actually and got him injured for a couple of games last season.
We had a choice. We got Romeo Lavia, 18, 19 from Belgium, or we go and buy somebody who's a bit more experienced, Calvin Phillips. I don't think Pep thought Romeo was ready for the step up, so he's let him go to Southampton with a buyback. And Calvin's came in. And I'll be honest with you, I think Pep doesn't trust him. I don't think he's adapted to the role well. And what I mean by that is when he comes in, he's very, very timid. Rodri's aggressive on the ball. He'll come deep, great, he'll turn, he'll spin into midfield. Calvin just wants to do the safe things. Because he's not playing regular, he's obviously scared of making a mistake. He's doing the very simple things, and I feel a bit sorry for him. The World Cup thing when he came back overweight didn't help, especially if Pep's highlighted that in the press that he's overweight. It ain't a good look. And then there's been games where we're 2-3-0 up and he'll bring him on for 5 minutes. Pretty embarrassing. And then there's games where Fulham at weekend, we're 2-1 up. We need to see the game out. Gundogan's blowing out of his arse. Rodri's on his last legs. We're getting into the last 10 minutes. That's a Calvin Phillips. Come on. Burst of energy all over the park, knocking it about, see the game out, win. He don't even play him. And I think it's a trust issue. Now, I think Calvin's got one or two options for me. He either sees his ass, which he's entitled to, in my opinion, and says, it didn't work out, I'm going to move. Or he says, no, last season was tough for me. I'm going to come back pre-season, I'm going to prove everyone wrong, and I'm going to challenge Rodri for the shirt. And I think that option's open to him. But if he doesn't show enough in the pre-season training or anything like that, I think City will have to move on from him.
Yeah, because you do have a buyback option on Romeo Lavia as well, and he's looked different gravy at Southampton at times, hasn't he? So there's always that option if he did move on, right?
The DM role at Man City is very, very hard. It's not just a normal DM role that you can play anywhere. And Calvin Phillips is not a bad player. He's an outstanding player. You've seen for England with Declan Rice, his class. I watch England all the time. He's world class. But at Manchester City, you're more than just a DM. You've got to come deep. Sometimes you're a centre back. It's just what Rodri done. It took Rodri a year. People were saying, who's this Rodri guy? He's bobbins after 1 year. Look at him now. He's unbelievable. So part of me is thinking, you always get a year at City. The City fans will never get on anyone's case. No one's got on Calvin Phillips' case at City. No. Nobody. You know, we wish him well. We want him to succeed. But there comes a point where sometimes you think it's not going to work for him. And then he has to go. I mean, I think you lads would have him back tomorrow, wouldn't you? Oh,
100%, mate. I love him, mate. I hate that Leeds fans of certain sections just turn on him like, oh, he's gone for the money. I said, what do you want him to do, man? He's playing in finals for England. He's got the opportunity to go win Champions Leagues, perform in the Champions, all this sort of stuff before the move. Like, what do you expect? You know what I mean? He could have easily had his pick. I think Man United would have took him, etc. There was talk of that, and he was never going to make that move. So I wish him all the luck, man. He needs to sort out his footwear. But other than that, man.
To tell you the story, on Instagram, Erling Haaland put a picture of Calvin Phillips on, and he put the Yorkshire Pearl on. So I replied in the story, the Yorkshire pudding, he needs to lose some weight. 10 minutes later, I got a DM off Erling Haaland saying, nah, Steve, he's doing well in training, trust me. I was like, oh my God, I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed that my interaction with the mighty Erling Haaland was calling Calvin a Yorkshire pudding in a joke. So, but yeah, that's my claim to fame. But Erling was, he knew I was joking, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
of
we had a
course.
bit of banter about it. But I speak to his brother Terrell a few times, and he says, like, he basically just says, I had to keep telling Cal to keep on going. So it must be affecting the kids, you know what I mean?
Of course,
but
man. Yeah.
He's got to realise that it's a different step up for him, you know what I mean, this season. He must have opened his eyes a little bit to it.
100%. But Grealish talks about that, doesn't he? Grealish talks about coming in at City and then realising, oh wow, it's you know, it's a different animal, you know, playing for City and then also playing for Pep on top of that and everything else that comes with it. But like, I hope he does well. But you know, if it doesn't work out, there'll be other Premier League clubs that will be queuing up for Calvin, I think. Look, the big thing for me, I enjoyed this title race for what it was, having someone different, you know, challenging City and seeing Arsenal. And a little part of me, Steve, was like, I wouldn't mind them winning the league. It's something different. But when Arsenal dropped off, the next thing in my sight was, right, go do the treble now. Because we all know what happened with that team, the red side of Manchester, the team across the Pennines to us that we dislike just as much as yous. Is that the thing, isn't it? To win the treble and say to them, listen, that thing that you had, it's gone now, and your biggest rivals have took it away from you and done it arguably in better style, could you say? I'm not sure. I guess their Champions League, the way they won it against Bayern Munich was madness in the end, but yeah.
No, it's on the blue side, no one's mentioning it, to be honest, because I think it's been bandied about a lot in the last few years. I think Liverpool last year were on for a quad. They ended up with a Carabao and FA Cup. I mean, Man City this season are the only team that's getting judged by a treble. Somebody said on the show, if you don't win the treble, it's been a disappointing season. And I'm like, mate, the other year you said if we don't win the Champions League, you know, so listen, I'll take the Champions League and nothing else. I'll take the Premier League and nothing else. We're Manchester City, mate. We just got to win the trophies. Do you know what I mean? Are we in a good position? Of course we are. But we've got Real Madrid. You know, we've not got Villarreal. We've got Real Madrid coming. You know what I mean? It's like we've been there before. We've got our fingers burned. We're taking one game at a time. We're 8 points behind in this title race the other week. And they said, you know, you can't catch Arsenal. AFTV. It's a one-horse race. They haven't got the belief that Arsenal have got. And you're a financial abomination. All the slander you could possibly come out of the mouths came out of the mouths. I walked round there at the Emirates in front of all them. It's on video on AFTV. And I said, there's blood in the water. And there's a big blue shark behind you. And they are absolutely terrified. The psychological warfare that Big Steve inflicted on AFTV that day.
I've seen, but
mate, Tom Robbie's getting great white sharks sent to him at all hours of the morning. Turkish is the same. That Libs is the same. They're all frightened of the shark. And I told them the pressure in the last 10 games is unbearable when you've got Man City on your case. Trust me. Yeah, well, we'll see. Every challenge you've thrown at us, we'll see. They dropped 9 points in 4 games in a title race with Man City.
Against poor sides as well, right? Against poor sides.
Back in, Joe. Back in. So the only... And they're saying to him, you can't call us bottle jobs. I'm sorry. You dropped 9 points in a title race at the end of the season. You've bottled it. Not like you've dropped one here and there and City's come back and you've stumbled a bit and then this happened. That was 9 points in a row. Just gone. And it's, you know, it's their own fault, man.
Yeah, it's true, innit? I think, you know, to bottle the Champions League, they've made that next step now. It was always going to be difficult for them the following season to then not expect them to wilt under the pressure. They're still a young side; they'll come again. But I guess it was always going to happen, wasn't it? It was always going to happen. Like you said, City have experience in this title running, and the, you know, they just look a different animal right now. It don't look like anyone's going to beat them. I guess as a Leeds United fan, and someone asked the question in the comments as well, does Steve think City will go full strength Saturday or rest a few? I think that's the only positive I'm taking is like, right, okay, so City played last night, Wednesday night. They've then got us, and then they go away. Or is it away? The next one it is, isn't it, on Wednesday? Yeah, they play Real Madrid. Tuesday, sorry. Are you worried about that fixture pile-up? Will he make changes, Steve?
To be honest, Joe, we last 5 years, it's been exactly the same. We've got to semi-finals, we've got to finals of FA Cups, Carabao Cups, so the fixture has always been there. It's just how he manages it. last night Gundogan got a rest, so expect him to come in. Don't know if he'll play Mahrez, might play Nardo out there. Last night he dropped the goalkeeper. Weird. Ortega's never started a Premier League game. He dropped him. Whether Edison's carrying it off, I don't know. I think Pep's learned his lesson doing that over the years, going a bit under strength. Then all of a sudden we're getting beat, and then he's having to throw the big guns on, and we're chasing it. I think he's learned a bit to put the big guns on first, maybe get a couple of goals up, and then start dripping the players off. So I expect, if I'm a betting man, Gundogan's definitely playing. Phil Foden should come in for Riyadh because he came on last night. Foden did well.
Yeah.
Kyle Walker could drop out. Stones at right back because we need Kyle Walker for Vinicius Jr. in the burnabout because he's just fucking rapid. Akanji probably jump in with Diaz, and Nathan Ake, who came back from injury last night, he'll probably play left back. So Grealish will start. So there won't be too many changes. There won't be too many.
So Grealish will still go ahead and start. He played quite big minutes. That's what I was looking at, mate, when I was watching the game, like thinking, oh, well, Mahrez has played. Did he play 90 minutes, Mahrez, in the end? I'm thinking, right, okay, he might not play on Saturday. Is there any chance Calvin gets minutes, or is it a case of now we need to win this game and then we'll switch it up?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's no room for sentiment in football. I think he's dropping him in the odd 5 here and there, but I don't know. I don't think he trusts him. I don't trust him, and that's only because I don't want him to come in and then drop a stinker. City drop points and everybody focus on Calvin. I think Pep's very aware of that. So I don't know. I feel like the kid's an amazing guy. Everyone around the club loves him. He's always got a smile on his face. He's always running over to the kids, giving them shirts and all that. He's just a guy. Everyone wants him to do well. But when you're in a season where one defeat for Man City in a season, you could ruin your league. And that's how fine the margins are. It's not like we're mid-table and you can throw him in for 6 games and let him bed in, because I've got no doubt that if you've played him regular, he'd become a great player. But you just haven't got that luxury in Man City's team. No. You just can't do it. No, you can't, mate. You're right. We'll see what to. Is there anyone from a Leeds United perspective you look at and think, okay, they maybe could hurt us? A lot of people mentioned, obviously, Stones in the comments playing at right back. Could Nonto get at him? Is there anyone you look at and think, maybe they could cause us problems? I like him. That is it. How do you pronounce it? Nonto.
Nonto, yeah. It's like a silent G. I think, mate, I'm not Italian, but yeah, Nonto, Willie Nonto. I
think he's great. I like him. I think he's full of energy and it's small players always make me laugh in the Premier League because they try to say, oh, they come Premier League. But Aguero was tiny, man, and he just teared it up. But I like him, and I think he's dangerous. And every time I've watched him, I watched him when England played at Italy as well, and I thought, I like him. I mean, you've got to be looking at him, players like that, to do something for you. Yeah. I just feel, I don't know what kind of Leeds is going to turn up. I feel if they come and think, let's play football, it might be a tough day. West Ham caused us issues last night because they were very disciplined and they dropped back in 2 banks of 4. They let City have the ball, but they moved side to side and they made it hard. That might have worked last season with a false 9. When you've got the big man, you've got that outlet. We can go long if we have to. We can go direct with him. I don't know. It's big sandball, isn't it? Listen.
This is the thing, isn't it?
Never know, man.
He'll have watched that first half against West Ham City and said, right, that's a blueprint, but we need to try and maintain it for 90 minutes. Unfortunately, game's out for 45 minutes, Addy. But I was thinking, like, I looked at Ogbonna and I was going, oh, he's winning everything in the air. He's doing really well. If we can have someone doing that, and then 5 minutes into the second half, he's the one that caused Ake to score. You know what I mean? And I'm like, right, okay, yeah. This City are they're just a different level. If we can keep it, like, for me as a Leeds fan, I'm like, if we can keep it to 2 or 3, and like we said, it's March, the last time you scored less than 3 in a game, then that gives me, like, if we can give 45 minutes like West Ham did, I'm like, okay, we can take that into the next 3. We can take that at home against Newcastle, and maybe we maintain it for longer and might nick one. But this game's not going to define us. I think everyone's expecting a spanking. I think had we kept Javi Gracia, we literally could, like, mate, the mad thing is people were saying, this could be double figures. We might be about to break the record for the most goals conceded if we play like how we've been playing. So I think bringing Big Sam in,
You don't have to worry about that, because if Haaland gets hat-trick, Pep will take him off.
Yeah, true. Yeah, exactly. And I want him to do. I want Haaland to think about Leeds United. Obviously, his affinity with the club and all that. Being born in Leeds and just, do you know what? Take me off, Pep. It's cool. Take me off. Give us a score prediction, Steve.
I'm going to go 3-0. I went 3-0 last night. I got it right. I'm going to go 3-0. I just think it's the way this week would have been probably a refreshing week in the club for a lot of the players, new training methods and all that. I'm expecting Leeds to come with a little bit of a bounce. I think, Leeds are well capable of digging in for 50, 60 minutes.
Yeah.
But eventually, we'll get to them. You only have to look at the last 10, 11 games at the Etihad to see that. And we need the points. You need the points, but we need them as well. We're in this title run. And I think if we beat you on Saturday, then we're 4 points clear. And
Everton up next after that as well, isn't it? So
4 games to go, 4 points clear. Putting the pressure on Arsenal to beat Newcastle. If Arsenal lose at Newcastle, we beat Everton, we can win it against Chelsea at home.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Raheem Sterling is 12th in the league. That's a new song.
Oh, is it? Brilliant, man. I'm just buzzing with Lampard because I've never rated that guy, and he's literally not won a game.
Man. Needs a Lampard history there.
It's brilliant, bro. It's brilliant. Listen, if we can keep it 0-0 for 45 minutes and then see what happens second half, that's genuinely my thoughts. Try keep it 0-0. Try stop
what about you guys going forward? I mean, if you stay up, are you keeping Sam? Would you have him, or would you say, look, we've got to think about this proper? I'm thinking Graham Potter's a Leeds manager for me.
Yeah.
I'm thinking he's a great guy. He jumped from Brighton to Chelsea. No disrespect, Brighton to Leeds. Leeds are a massive club. Yeah, they're not in Champions League and all that shit that he had to deal with Chelsea, but they're massive, sleeping giant. Graham Potter, he should never have got sacked. What do you expect him to do when the chairman's throwing 600 million at mad players that nobody wants? Yeah. If he came in at Leeds, had a full pre-season, got his own staff in, got a bit of dough, cherry-picked a couple of nice players like he did at Brighton, just established Leeds as a Premier League team for a few years and then kicked on. Surely that's got to be where it's at for me.
100%, mate. There's too much recency bias by fans that say, "Did you see him at Chelsea?" I was like, "Listen, you cannot judge him on that, right?" I agree with you completely. The mad thing is, mate, he started his managerial career at Leeds Uni, at Leeds Carnegie, So it's like, bring him home. But yeah, I agree with you. I think the big thing for Leeds is if we stay in the Premier League, the 49ers take us over. The buyout's done. Radrazani leaves. They're bringing their own people. There's been talk of Rodgers if we stay up, but I would prefer Potter. But even Rodgers for me, mate, we need to stop going for these managers on the continent and stuff. We need someone that's got Premier League proven, can come in and, like you said, steady the ship for a bit, get us mid-table a couple of seasons and then see where we go. Because if we do stay up, 49ers are talking about improving the stadium. They're going to throw money at it. And, that's what you need to do now. And well, maybe you don't. Look at Brighton, look at Brentford, look at these clubs, even Fulham have had a good season. So we should be up there, though, bro, and it's frustrating that the club have allowed everything that Bielsa built, even if you think he was taking us down or what, to just erode within 18 months. Like, everything's gone. Everything he built has just gone, and now we're with Big Sam. It's mental. But yeah, listen, hopefully Leeds United can stay up. It's conceivable we might not win another game and still stay up. The big games, if Forest can beat Southampton, if Southampton beat Forest, I genuinely think we might not win another game and still stay in the league because Forest have got tough fixtures after that. But we'll see. But
I think
Steve,
you stay up, mate. I think you stay up. Yeah, I do. I think you stay up. I enjoy going to Leeds, the atmosphere and that. I've got a lot of mates there. I've done for years. You had all them years in the doldrums where it's hard. I know, like what it's like down there. You think you're never going to get back. You're a laughing stock. Everyone's singing, "You're not famous anymore." It's fucking embarrassing, man. But when you get back to the promised land, listen, we won the lottery. And the roller coaster I'm on at the minute, if it ended tomorrow, I'd die a happy man. I believe that yours is not even started yet. And like you say, if you can get someone in, proper investment, like Newcastle, it took them a long time. Now the city's buzzing. The fans are buzzing. the training grounds being built, the infrastructure that Newcastle are building, it's only going one way. And Leeds have got to be next.
Yeah.
These owners that are coming in with all this nonsense, they need to be, you know, we get slagged off for Sheikh Mansour. He's the best owner in the world. What he's done at that football club, everything he's done in the football club from top to bottom is unreal, right? And yeah, we're going on about these charges and all that. Well, we'll wait and see. We'll have our day in court with all that. And if they have been found to be guilty of anything, there'd be nobody more fucking disappointed than me, because it's my club and you want your club to be right. But, you know, it is what it is. There's a lot of people out there now, a lot of money. Man United are going on. Man United have called us an oil club for years.
I know, I've seen them. They're
having a protest now to get the Qataris in. So that fucking mob of them over there, they ain't got a clue what they're talking about them. The roof's still leaking. There's rats on the pitch. There's piss running down the stairs. And they're trying to talk to City. One said to me the other day, "You're forever in our shadow." I said, "I'll sit in your shadow for the rest of my life, mate, because it's fucking nice in the shadow here. Let me tell you that." Now I'm going to Madrid next week, sunbathing. He's watching Coronation Street. You know what I mean?
I love it. I love it. You're right, though, bro. It is funny seeing it, man. Like, yeah, it's mad. I hope they don't get that investment, man. I hope the Glazers stay forever and a day, mate. It'd be class if they did.
I love Leeds up there, mate, because it winds them up over the road. So 100%. Get them up there for me.
Yeah, it'd be class. We need to be back at the big table for sure. Steve, listen, thank you very much for giving up your time, mate. Great value, great guest as always. I hope you go and win the treble, bro. I think you'll have too much for Real Madrid. You know, if you have Haaland last season, you win the games. You know what I mean? This season you've got him, and I think you'll beat them in both legs, mate, to be honest. So go and win the treble, brother, and thanks for coming on. Everyone, go check out Steve. Have you got any content coming out over the few weeks?
I've got a little review on my channel later, which is a bit about West Ham, a bit about Leeds, and then Friday I'm doing a Real Madrid review with some Real Madrid fans that I know. And other than that, then if you follow me on Instagram at Big Steve MCFC, my story in Madrid, I do a full story right the way through the trip. You'll see Daps, his pink tracksuit, and people pissed up in the square, and it's good, man. It's good. It's proper.
Yeah, it's good, man. I seen you went. Was it Holland? You went, right? Did you go?
Yeah, I flew back from Bayern Munich, and then I went to PSV Eindhoven and Ajax with the PSV guys, some friends of mine. But yeah, they looked after me out there. Them boys don't mess about out there. Let me tell you that.
I bet. Is that where Ruud van Nistelrooy is, right? PSV.
Yeah, seen Ruud Ruud van Nistelrooy there outside the ground. I seen Van Gaal out there. Yeah, it was a good game. They won 3-0. So PSV we're in the Champions League now, so they're on top of the world.
Nice. Well, we'll leave it there, folks. Listen, go check out Steve's channel on his Instagram as well. It's always popping off. And make sure you subscribe to this channel. I'll probably be back later on tonight after work, so I'll see you then. And thanks again, folks.